Topaz is still that bitch, guys. Emphasis on the last part of her name there. And the guide I'm going to be showing you today is better than the pictures you see here. You have to be a cultured man to appreciate these. And if you're that cultured, you should go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now before we hop into this build guide, and I plug it later in the video. But let's go ahead and talk about the best Topaz build today, because what does she do? She gives so much stuff for follow-up teams, and she's honestly pretty good, even though some people will put her down lower on a tier list. I still think she is that bitch. So we're going to be hopping into this build guide today, but first let's start off with a kit breakdown, because you need to know what she does before we actually hop into the build, and I can explain that. So just as a quick brief overview, guys, her
basic attack
going to be acting as a follow-up attack, which makes her generate SP. This will make her super efficient in being an SP generator for the team, and this just makes so many other follow-up teams viable, especially because she's normally a sub DPS for these teams. She can play that role of generating SP for the team while dishing out some pretty insane damage as well. Her skill attack also counts as a follow-up attack, meaning it brings Noombi back up to the front, which we'll talk about in a second here. But not only that, she also inflicts an enemy with a proof of death debuff, which makes the enemies take increased follow-up damage. So this just means any follow-up character you use, she is amplifying them. She is basically a sub DPS harmony unit for follow-up characters. This is why she is so good. Now let's hop into the ultimate. Ultimate Bonanza State. That's what happens whenever you use it. Thonks go up, Noombi starts going up, and Noombi's damage multiplier and crit multiplier is going to be increased. He's going to do absolutely massive amount of damage for at least 2 times he enacts any type of thing, right? So let's say you have Dr. Ratio in your team. Boom, pillar down. Follow-up attack with Dr. Ratio. Noombi goes. Follow-up attack with Dr. Ratio. Noombi goes. That's it. That's the damage he's going to do, but the damage is so enhanced, it's going to look crazy, especially with her being a sub DPS. Not to say you can't play her hyper carry. We'll bring up something with that later in the video, though, in the team section. Her whole talent, just like Jing Yuan's talent, is the Lightning Lord. Hers is Noombi, so this is something you definitely want to be leveling up. But these are just the abilities you see up front. What abilities do you get from the traces? She actually has 3 of these abilities. That being Stonks Market, Financial Turmoil, and Overdraft. Now, what are these 3 things going to do? First of all, guys, Stonks Market is going to be giving you 10 energy back whenever Noombi's in the Bonanza state. That means the ultimate state, you get 10 extra energy back. Helps you with ultimate efficiency, helps get the ult back up. Number 2, Financial Turmoil is going to be increasing the damage you do to enemies with a fire weakness. So if you bring her into a battle with enemies with fire weakness, free 15% damage right here. And then finally, like I said before, the last one, this makes her basic attack count as a follow-up attack as well, meaning this can bring Noombi back up to the front, and you don't have to use skill points. You can save those juicy points for someone else on the team if you're using a sub DPS, or you can save it up for maybe you need to put a shield up or something like that. Well, that little kit breakdown out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about her best in slot light cones right now. And honestly, she's a lot more free-to-play friendly than you would realize. Obviously, her best light cone is going to be her signature light cone, guys. I mean, it gives crit rate, it gives extra debuffs, this helps Dr. Ratio, this helps her, more crit damage, more damage overall, right? Now, this is not the only thing you can run on her, right? While this is super good for her, other things you can run. The Herta Shop light cone. The Herta Shop light cone is really good. It gives you a crit rate increase and an attack increase as well. If they fall below 50% HP, you're getting an extra 16% crit rate, which is going to be super good as far as how we're going to talk about how to build her later in the video. Now, guys, there's also another option you could here. You could run the Yangqing's light cone as well to give her some more crit damage. And then finally, sword play is another decent option. But let's be honest, guys, you probably have the free Herta Shop Hunt light cone. So please take use of this light cone right here. It'll help you out tremendously with leveling up your Topaz. That's really all that I have to say about light cones. Obviously, Dr. Ratio's light cone can work as well here. Zila's light cone, it's okay here. Any of the 5-star signature light cones can work on her other than her own signature light cone. Just want to let that be known. Now, the part you've been waiting for, the relics. But before we hop into that, if you clicked on this timestamp and got scammed, then please hit that subscribe button. It says it behind me. Subscribe to the channel. We talk about Topaz here. We talk about Jay Ducey here. We talk about why you shouldn't summon for characters here. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So we're going to be breaking the relics down into 2 different sections. I'll be basically talking about all the sets you want, and then we'll talk about the stats you want after this. There'll be 2 separate timestamps if you want to get to a certain section. So what's her best in slot relic set? The 4-piece follow-up set is by far the best set you can possibly run on her. Why, you might ask? Because she's a follow-up character. Now, there's a reason why we don't run the 4-piece set on Dr. Ratio, and that's what we're going to talk about now. The 4-piece follow-up set, guys, this is going to be allowing you to do increased follow-up damage at a 2-piece, which is really, really solid. But the 4-piece allows allows you to get extra attack increase depending on how many hits the follow-up attack does, and it resets for every single follow-up attack you do, meaning Noombi hits multiple different times when you're fighting an enemy. That means you stack this up a lot. This doesn't work for Dr. Ratio because the chalk hit only hits one time. The pillar only hits once, so you only get one stack. With her, you get all of the stacks, or you get most of the stacks. I'm not going to say all. You get most of the stacks with this, so it is really beneficial to increasing her attack, which increases her follow-up damage overall. Super, super good there. Now, what are some other sets you could run? She does implant a debuff from her skill, meaning you could run the 4-piece debuff set on her. This is a very practical set you could run on. It's not going to be as good as the follow-up set because the follow-up set's just kind of built for her, but this is another alternative you can run because it procs a debuff, meaning you're always going to be fighting a debuffed enemy with her. But for the 4-piece here, you're going to have more debuffers on the team so she can actually have more debuffs on the enemy, which means you increase her crit rate and crit damage more. This could help out if you're having troubles reaching your crit thresholds, which we'll talk about in a little bit later in the video. Finally, one more set you could run would be a 2-piece Lava Walker 2-piece follow-up set. So you're getting the extra follow-up damage from the 2-piece, and then also you'll be getting the fire damage bonus as well, which just helps her out overall. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this planner set. The best in slot planner set, in my opinion, is going to be Salsado. Why? It gives you crit rate, which it'll help you out with building this character a lot. Crit rate is very hard to get, especially for newer players coming to the game. So Salsado is going to be really solid. On top of this, it's also going to be increasing her follow-up attack damage as well. You only need 50% crit rate threshold to reach this, which is just all around super, super good. Now, alternatively, what you could run here is Glamith. If you have enough speed, if you have enough crit rate on the team already, Glamith, if you have a super high speed on her, her base speed's already 110. So if you can reach that final speed threshold with her with keeping your crit rate in check, this is going to be a better set to run overall just because it does offer attack percentage and also is going to be offering damage percentage, a bigger damage percentage bonus to her overall. So that is something else you could run. And then finally, I want to mention this. If you're struggling super, super hard with crit rate, which you could run the new set we have, the new planner set, which gives you extra crit rate when you're running someone else with Hunt on the team. If you're running on a team with Dr. Ratio, this is something you could run. Vice versa, you could run this on Dr. Ratio as well to get his crit rate up if you're having issues with his crit rate. But she doesn't really worry about crit rate as much as Dr. Ratio does because he has one attack, which kind of scuffs you if you don't crit. She hits multiple times in one attack, so if you miss one crit, it's not that bad. Now, if you miss multiple crits in a row, that's going to be pretty down bad. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But that's kind of my theory with the sets you want to be running on them. Let's go ahead and talk about all the stats you're going to be wanting now. On the boots, guys, you're going to be wanting to run speed or attack percentage. Now, why attack percentage? Because her base speed's already 110. So if you can get her to 134 speed, like I have, without running speed boots, running attack percent boot here is going to significantly increase her damage, okay? She has a pretty low base attack as is. Me running this attack percent boot has me around 3k attack, so pretty low, honestly. So we'll talk about recommended stats later, but yeah. Also, if you're running Ruan Man on the team or an Ost on the team, you really don't have to worry about speed that much at all, okay, guys? On the body, you're going to be wanting to run either crit rate or crit damage, depends on what your crit ratios are looking like here. You probably want to focus on crit damage here, get crit rate substats. If you have a lot of crit or damage substats, you can maybe put crit right here instead to help balance that out. That's what I would recommend for the body. On the orb and rope, fire damage orb, attack percent rope, this is going to be the best thing you can possibly do for her. Give her that attack, that juicy attack that Noombi loves so much, and that fire damage increase that helps get damage bonus. She really doesn't have much fire damage bonus in her kit, so this will help out tremendously as far as getting the extra damage out for Noombi. Hell yeah, we love little Noombi, don't we? But with the main stats out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of those substats now. Substats, pretty self-explanatory. Crit rate, crit damage, attack, and speed. These are the main subsets you're going to be wanting to run here. These are the cornerstone for any Hunt type character, really any DPS character. She doesn't scale off of anything wonky like effect hit rate or break effect. She scales like a generic Hunt character with crit rate, crit damage, attack, and speed. I'll go ahead and show you the recommended stats on screen now. Now, the recommended stats, guys, is going to be around 65% crit rate. You want this before she has anything else added to her. This is what I would definitely recommend, at least 65%. It's still on the low end, I know, but this is a good point to start off from. Now, going into that crit damage, around 150. This, like I said, is on the low end. This is like a minimum number. These are all minimum stats you want to at least reach. Getting higher is better, obviously. Speed, 134 speed. Unless you're running her hyper carry, then you don't have to worry about speed at all. Finally, attack, I would say get around 2,800 attack. That's going to be giving you your best time in battle with Miss Hope ass, okay? So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about our teams now because, let's be honest, guys, she has a lot of friends, and one of those friends is named Himeko. So as far as some good teammates for her, right, let's talk about some other DPSs you can run with your Topaz, right? Because with her being a kind of sub DPS, you kind of want a stronger DPS in some situations. So Dr. Ratio, the Himeko can work here, and Kafka as well. Yes, Kafka can also work here, because Kafka does have follow-ups, which follows, you know, makes Lumbi go purr. So Kafka can also work here very well. If you just came this patch, you do not have free Dr. Ratio. I am so sorry for you, but Dr. Ratio just works super, super well with her. I would definitely recommend putting him on a team with her. They're literally like a match made in heaven, guys, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about the supports you can run. You have a plethora of supports you can run, honestly. Robin, Sparkle, Ruan, Mei, Asta, because Asta gives fire damage bonus. A lot of people forget that, and speed. Ting Yun, because Ting Yun gives energy. It's super good. These are like all of the supports that you could run on her. Bronya could work. I like Sparkle more because more skill points equals Bonanza State more, Bonanza State more. But like I said, Bronya could also work here as well. I just don't like Bronya. Put her on the bottom of this tier list. She's stinky. And finally, hopping into those sustained characters. Now, sustained characters here can get a little wonky, a little bit sussy, if you know what I mean, because you can run Adventurine here, the zestiest man alive. Now, you probably skipped Adventurine, or you might just not have him. Other options here, you can run Fushuan here. Fushuan gives you crit rate bonus. We're getting her next patch, so you might want to save for her. Crit rate's really nice. We love crit rate, yay, and your team won't die, yay! Another alternative here, though, is going to be March 7th. Now, guys, you're saying March 7th is a good option for sustain here? Well, maybe March 7th is not the best sustain in the game, and you're going to have to play very smart with March 7th to actually make her work. Now, one thing I would like to add to this is it is viable for her to soul sustain, but a lot of times, if you're not like big brain player, it might be hard for you. But she does have follow-up attacks, which helps Noombi out, and that means more damage overall for her. So these are all the characters you can run with her. Topaz is here. Topaz is here to stay. I'm gonna hop on R34 now and find some cool art to, you know what to. Bye guys, see you later.